Hello, this is Jungle Jogging, and I'm making this video about the speed of light and time dilation. Now, let's say that um, I'm traveling the speed of light. Let's say that you see me travel the speed of light. Let's say that I'm traveling from point A to point B. It's 186,000 miles, and I'm going to travel that distance in 1 second. And you're observing me travel that distance in that time. Okay, now let's say that I have a companion. I have a photon right beside me. And that photon is traveling alongside of me from point A to point B in 186,000 miles a second. Okay, fine. That's all fine. That's what the speed of light is. I'm traveling at the speed of light. The photon's traveling at the speed of light. We get from point A to point B according to your perception, your time scale, in 1 second. There's nothing wrong with that. It's absolute perfect science. We're both traveling at the speed of light. Now, what do you think the problem is with that? There's a slight problem with that, in that, for me, if I'm traveling at the speed of light, time slows down for me. Not for you. Time slows down for me. Okay, I travel that distance along with my companion, the photon. We both traveled the distance. You saw us travel the distance together. It was 186,000 miles, and it was in 1 second. But for me, since I was traveling that speed, time slowed down for me, so that I made the trip in a fraction of a second. It didn't take me a complete second, or even the most part of the second, to get there. I got there in a fraction of a second because time slowed down for me. Same is true with my companion, the photon, who was traveling alongside with me, and you saw him traveling alongside with me. He traveled at the same speed I did and got to the end. He got 186,000 miles in the same time that I did. You saw us travel together. So the photon, time slowed down for the photon too. Now this is not contrary to experimental science either, because it's a known fact that particles, when they're smashed up and they're traveling at the speed of light, that they live longer. That's a known observation. And it's also matter of observation that a photon goes in and out of matter. And when it goes into matter and goes into an electron orbit, that it increases the mass of the electron. And so a photon is interchangeable with matter, the same as any other particle is interchangeable with matter and energy. So now we have a dilemma. So we have two speeds of light. We have the observed speed of light, and we have the actual speed of light from the perspective of going from point A to point B. Both the photon and I traveled from point A to point B in a fraction of a second. And you saw us do that. But for us, time slowed down. We completed the voyage in a fraction of a second. It didn't take us a whole second to get from point A to point B. We were already there. So you have a perceived speed of light and an actual speed of light. The actual speed of light is virtually instantaneous. And the perceived speed of light, as we see it in the fabrication of time-space that we consist of, we see it slowed down. We see it going 186,000 miles in 1 second, when in fact it's going from point A to point B in a fraction of a second. So this perceived distance that they're talking about, they're saying that the universe is billions of years old because it takes so much time for the light to reach our eyes, the photons to reach our eyes. It's not even true, because there's a perceived speed of light in the fabrication of time-space, and there's the actual speed of light. The actual speed of light is virtually instantaneous, even though we see it slowed down, because it's a fabrication. Time is a fabrication that's stretched. Space is a fabrication that's stretched. So that's the conflicting part of what we're seeing, or what we think we're seeing. We're not actually seeing. The same thing as if you throw a spear into the water at a fish, you can't throw it directly at the fish. Because if you throw it directly at what you see, what you perceive as being a fish, you're going to overshoot the target and you're going to miss the fish. You're going to have to shoot under the target. You have to shoot under the target so that you won't miss the fish by a long shot. You have a better chance of hitting it, because your perception is not the reality. Okay? So the same thing with the time it takes for a photon to get from point A to point B. So science is wrong again. Scientists are wrong again. That's real science is true. The Earth is not billions of years old. It's a fraction of that. That's a matter of fact.